morning and welcome. I'm Josephine Corcoran, Holistic Career Coach, and this is my Astrology for Business weekly forecast uh, live, where I'm going to share with you the energies of what's happening this week in the heavens in terms of the astrology and what the planets are doing and the connection they're making to one another. And I work in a very holistic way when I'm coaching with a specialization in careers, and also really leaning in to support leaders to engage their spiritual side, to connect in with their intuition so that they can align with their purpose and really make choices that are connected with their innate abilities so that they can thrive in what they do. And if this year has taught us anything, it has really taught us the rich depth of opportunity of connecting into our intuition, of slowing down, of going within and building a connection with our heart and really listening to that and making choices that are heart based. And this week is another intense week. We've had a few very intense weeks, but very much so this week's about relationships. And I'll talk about why that's the case and give you some of the detail around why relationships are under the spotlight this week. But there are a couple of major things happening that are always good to know about. And first and foremost, I'll talk about the fact that Mercury stations retrograde, which means it's going to do it travel backward in the sky. And for those of you who perhaps are joining me for the first time or haven't heard much about Mercury retrograde, because Mercury rules communication, it rules the mind, and it also rules travel and any technology that's connected to communication, like telephones and computers and things. And whenever Mercury's traveling retrograde or going backward, it's not functioning to its full capacity. So it can mean that we have issues with communication in terms of being misunderstood when we're talking to other people. And it can also mean that we have issues with technology that supports us being able to communicate. So back up your technology now. And because Mercury is stationing retrograde in Scorpio, which is a water sign, be particularly mindful of being near and around water. And so not dropping your phone in water or water near your computer, because that can be a bit of a problem with this kind of energy. And also with Mercury in Scorpio, any kind of appliances that you're using that involve water. And funnily enough, our dishwasher did start to go on the blink last week. So just be conscious of that. Doesn't mean you stop doing things, but it's always a very powerful time for going back and reviewing projects that are underway or things that you're editing or getting to the final phases of thinking about. Or maybe there's a project and you feel like you still haven't got to the bottom of the information that you need to be able to move forward. So very powerful with the Scorpio energy for getting things out there, but going deep before you do so. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if we think about the theme of this week, we're in the waning lunar phase, which means that the moon is getting smaller. And by the end of the week, we're going to have the new moon take place in Libra. And so as we reach the end of the lunar cycle each month and the moon gets darker and darker, the dark phase of the moon invites us to slow down and to go within. And if we think traditionally, before we had electricity and man-made technology and devices that enabled us to stay up and do things at all hours of the day, when the moon was in the dark phase, there was very little that could be done at night time. So we're invited to really slow down and just not take on too much. So sometimes what that can bring through is a little bit more fatigue or a little bit more tiredness. So I just wanted to give you the heads up on those two key things. And I'll talk I'll talk at the end of this a little bit about the new moon in Libra happening on Saturday morning. But probably the big energy for the week, which is all about relationships, is connected to the fact that the sun at the moment is traveling through Libra in the sky, and the sun will the sun in Libra brings about the strong focus on relationships and relating. And Libra always wants to find balance and peace and harmony. And in doing so, Libra is very much mindful of when we're in connection with others, when we're relating with others, we want to hear their side of the story. We want to consider others. And often the energy of Libra is considering others before considering self. And what's happening this week is that Libra, the sun, I should say, in that sign, which is about relationships, is coming up to make an opposition with Mars in Aries. Now, Mars in Aries is the exact opposite energy. Mars in Aries is all about me, myself, and I. What is it that I want to do in the world? What are my goals? And how am I going to go out there and make them happen? Mars in Aries is the competitive side of ourselves, and it's that warrior that wants to win at all costs. So what we've got happening this week is this tension between wanting to be in relationship but equally thinking about where is it that I want to go. And there's this tension that's going on, and so there's this sense of really wanting to step into this vision of where we want to go, but thinking about who are the people we want to be partnering with and who do we want to be collaborating with. Now, to add even more emphasis to this opposition, it's both the Sun and Mars are making a connection down to the planets, which are all lined up in Capricorn, that are really the planets that are creating this transformation and change throughout all of 2020, which is what we're looking at: restructuring our businesses, restructuring government systems, restructuring banking. And so we've got this extra tension where we're being really invited to restructure the relationships in our lives and restructure the business relationships in particular. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about partnerships in business at the moment, this is a very powerful time for getting clear on the vision of your business, getting clear on who it is you want to be supporting, the kind of work that you want to be doing, and finding some alignment there with other people, other businesses, other business partners who see the world the same way as you do. And another reason that this is important is because there's a strong connection happening this week with Venus, which is the ruler of Libra. She's currently in Virgo. So the sun at the moment is really thinking about who we want to partner with so that we can be serving people best. And Venus, just to add more emphasis to this, is opposing Neptune this week too. So there is again this strong connection about giving us an opportunity to reimagine the way in which our businesses can serve others. And so it's very strong this week about, okay, we're restructuring our businesses. We're looking at how do we want to take our businesses forward. We're thinking about who or what issues matter most to us. How can we more deeply contribute to the planet? How can we more deeply contribute to humanity? And who is in our field that actually is as passionate about contributing to the planet and humanity as you are and as your business is? So they're not light topics. In fact, they're deeply, deeply profound. And I invite you this week, as this lineup is happening, to really reflect on what it is that you deeply connect to on those big issues of the planet and humanity. And interestingly enough, part of the essence of Capricorn with Saturn, which is about restructuring, with Jupiter, which is about emphasizing the need for the restructure, and with Pluto, which is emphasizing this transformation around business, and the energy of Capricorn, those three planets are all lined up in Capricorn. There is also a very strong energy and connection to wanting to tap into ancient wisdom that's existed for thousands and thousands of years, because Capricorn also represents that. And yesterday, my family and I went on a really beautiful. We went on a tour of the Hawkesbury of Ku-ring-gai Chase, which is up here near Sydney in the Hawkesbury River, and we went on a tour with a local Indigenous elder, and we were talking with a group about a lot of the different practices and the ways that the Aboriginal people really nourished the land and really valued the land and recognized that when they took, they needed to put back, and they really knew how to farm sustainably. They really knew how to support their tribe, and it really strongly resonated with me, and it really um, it's time for us to start to really honor the knowledge and the wisdom that already exists. And we can reflect on what's been done really well in the past, in the ancient past. And we can really use that to explore how do we bring that into the way in which we're serving others with the businesses in business. Um, and whether that's as a consultant, whether that's as a business that creates product, um, we can reflect on all of that. So, very beautiful week for stepping into finding a way to connect and collaborate with other like minded souls to serve. Oh, so I will give you a bit of an energy forecast around the lunations too, and what days are good for doing what. Um, and let's just start by checking in on when the moon is void of course this week. And for those of you who perhaps are tuning in for the first time, when the moon is void of course, it's not making an aspect to any other planets in the sky. And therefore, they're not considered to be fortuitous times to be out there in the world and making things happen. But they're very good times for getting on with business that you've already started. So, in terms of the void of course days, today, Monday, the 12th of October, the moon is not void of course. And just as a reminder, I'm talking Sydney Eastern time. Um, Tuesday, the 13th, the moon's going to be void of course from 1:29 a.m. till 3:55 p.m. So, for much of tomorrow, the moon is void of course. And Wednesday, it's not void of course at all. On Thursday, it will be void of course from 9:46 a.m. to 4:53. So both Tuesday and Thursday, there's quite a lot of time where that time's better spent working on business as usual rather than making new business calls or doing business meetings where you have to sign contracts. But you can still have business meetings and obviously still deliver. Just be mindful of kicking new things off, and definitely not great days for launching. Friday the 16th, the moon is not void of course. On Saturday, it's void of course for most of the day from 9:11 a.m. till 4:05 p.m. And it's not void of course on Sunday. So in terms of the energy of where the moon is, the reason we talk about what sign the moon is in is because the moon represents our emotions and how we feel, which also strongly resonates with the kinds of things we feel drawn towards doing. So today's Monday the 12th and the moon's in Leo today. So Leo's a fire sign, it's a fixed fire sign. It's all about creativity and passion and having some fun. Great time for performing. Great time for talking about things you're passionate about, which is what I love doing on my Monday. So good lineup for me today. Tuesday, the moon is still in Leo. And like I said, great time for your own creative endeavours tomorrow, actually. Until 3:55, the moon moves sign into Virgo, which is an earth-based sign, much more around structure, restructuring, tending to the details of things. So actually from Tuesday afternoon and all day Wednesday with that energy, very good for getting organised, tidying up, doing some housework around your business and at home as well. And just making sure that you haven't got any blockages in your pathway that are going to stop you from being really efficient in the work that you do. Then on Thursday, the moon is actually in Virgo for most of the day, and 4:53 p.m. it's going to change signs and move into the air sign, intellectual Libra. As I was saying earlier, Libra is very much that energy about connecting with others and seeing both sides of the story and wanting to relate. And so therefore relationships are under the spotlight. So a contract's really great time for mediation and being able to see both sides of the story. So that's the case for the moon in Libra all day Friday as well. And then on Saturday, early in the morning, we're going to have the new moon in Libra. I'll talk about that at the moment, at 6:30 a.m. And then in the afternoon at 4:05 p.m., the moon's going to change signs into Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign. It's a very intense energy, feels things very, very deeply, and wants to get down to the depths of matters and to really explore the truth in things. And so the moon will be in Scorpio all day Sunday, and then on Monday until 3:42 p.m. So very quickly to talk about the new moon happening in Virgo. The new moon's always a very powerful time for setting new intentions, and this new moon is going to be a great time for setting new intentions, but being conscious about the kind of relationships we want to be working with. So, as I said earlier, um, use this new moon will be a very powerful time for sitting down and thinking about, okay, what's my big picture perspective? What am I dreaming I want to create? What am I imagining for my professional life, for my business? What am I imagining for my personal relationships and partnerships and friendships? Who do I want to be collaborating with to achieve those goals? Who do I want to be partnering with that sees the world the same way as I do, but brings different supportive, collaborative, different supportive tools to the table that complement yours? So when I say like-minded, it doesn't mean they have the same skill set. It just means they share the same big picture vision. And they share a lot of the same kinds of values. And they're on a growth trajectory similar to you. And when you align with people that are on that same trajectory as you, you can perform extraordinary goals. You can together create extreme magic in the world and make an enormous difference. So I really invite you under this new moon, which takes place at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, after the new moon has taken place, not before, to really over the weekend at some point sit down and reflect on your dreams and really write down some goals of things you'd like to achieve that are aligned to those things that I just spoke to you about. And also, don't be shy of the transformation that's taking place. Don't be shy of what it is you need to let go of. Lean into that and trust that that's happening for a reason. So just as a final little signing off, the new moon's taking place at 23 degrees of Libra. So if you know your chart, anything at 23 degrees is going to be activated, but you're particularly going to experience a strong signature around this new moon. If you are a Libran, a Capricorn, Aries, or if you've got Cancer, any of those signs at 23 degrees. So wishing you an extraordinary week ahead. My heart continues to go out to all of you in Victoria. You're doing an amazing job, and I know it's impossible for me to sit here and know exactly how you feel, but I just have this strong sense in my heart that Victoria as a whole, you are going to be the thought leaders for Australia at the end of all of this. You are going to be creating extraordinary new visions. And really, you will be so prepared for the changes that are taking place. And as leaders, I'm excited to watch your space. So I'm sending you all my love. And for everybody else who's tuned in, have an amazing week ahead. It's another really big week. It's not necessarily easy, but it's extremely powerful. So take care. Oh, and also I should really mention, I've got a new one-on-one coaching program that I formulated that's really supporting you to connect in with your intuition, to use that intuitive side of you to step into 2021. It's called The Bridge. So if you're interested in looking at how you could work with me to bring together your intuitive and spiritual side and weave that into your leadership and take steps forward into your greatness, I'd love to have a conversation with you. And meanwhile, I'll see you all next week on Monday. Have an amazing week ahead. Sending you all my love. Bye for now.